Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of the review with Heather's Passion Academy. And I am Heather from Passion Academy. And today we are reviewing Family Empire Houston on OWN. And this is season one, still season one, episode 6. The title of it is The Boiling Point. And if you all have been following this particular show, we know that the Braden family was having their friends and family hold down, showdown, whatever you want to call it, rodeo that they normally have because it was rodeo season. So they decided to have a friends and families day, I guess, on behalf of the company in order to, just have a family fun day for everyone that works at Braden for them to kick it and have fun. Now, the thing about it was with this rodeo and everything, they ended up, as they always do, talking business about what's going on with the land when it comes to Granny. And things started getting heated with the family members because everybody wants to know what's going to happen with the land, especially the piece of land that Granny has and it was thinking about selling, but Jermeshia really wants to develop um that land and do something else with it. So that's been the little point of contention because Granny, like, look, we can just sell it because she want to make sure her kids taken care of and want to make sure things are done in a particular order. So um so where we left off, that's where we left off. Anyway, like I said, it got a little heated, because people were just, I guess feelings hurt were hurt and whatever else you want to call it. Most of them had made it into the conversation area. So you're talking about 20, 25 family members. And too many questions and opinion were circulated. So it ended up them having to shut everything down. And so they were heading back to the event because what they realized, nothing's going to get resolved today. So you might as well just go ahead and enjoy the rest of the day. Which I think is great because y'all don't need to be having that conversation anyway. It's too much going on. It's already a bunch of y'all opinionated people. And then on top of that, not only is everybody opinionated, but people, it's just too many outside voices right now. So don't do that. Anyway, as everyone goes outside, Nicole and Monet's mom uh tells Keshia she wants to have a conversation with her. And I'm guessing this is stemming from the session that Keshia and Nicole had with the therapist regarding this whole situation with them being half sisters and everything. So there's just a lot going on. So Keisha kind of had that look on her face, like, what you need to talk to me about? And I'm like, yeah, you probably don't need to talk with her. But the only thing is Joy can't talk to her mama because her mama's dead. But at the same time, I think that some things need to be said without a power dynamic of someone else's parent being the one bring the information up. But anyway, um, because we can go on and on about that. So she goes ahead and talks to her and everything. Now, I think again, a lot of things that get said or has been said need to be said differently. And so it's clear that Joy still has some resentment about this whole situation. And, Keisha feels like she wasn't necessarily mean to her, but at the same time, she knows that there was a point of contention as far as that's concerned. And Joy is like, well, I ain't had no problem with you. I just told Frank when he told me that your mom was pregnant with you that they need to get a blood test and all this stuff. And so I thought that was interesting because, you know, from what I'm gathering, but this is just what I'm gathering from what we're hearing, it doesn't seem like he was married to either one of them at the time. And, if you need a DNA test for one, go and get a DNA test for the other. Anyway, she said she never had a problem with Keisha, and Keisha said that wasn't her experience. Joy said, well, that should have been a situation for her and Frank to handle. She still really isn't owning up to the fact that she may have treated Keisha differently simply because of the situation at hand. Anyway, the other sisters come in. Excuse me, y'all. Whew. The other sisters come in and kind of catch wind that there's something brewing between their mom and Keisha, so they decide to see what's going on. Now, Joyce says to them, people, her problem is there's other folks with outside kids and was worried about what's going on in her house, but they were basically meddling in her business and her marriage, is what she's saying. And she ain't mentioned no names, but we know that because of previous episodes, Jermeshia and Jaquita and Keisha said that Jackie was the one, which is their mom, was the one that introduced Keisha to everyone. And she was the one that kind of bridged that gap that was there. Um, so the anger that she had basically kept them from being close to the sisters. And that's what she's really trying to understand. The sisters have moved into the conversation, but you can tell things are getting heated. Nicole is trying to be defensive about her mom. And I get that those girls are going to protect their mom, but at the on the other side, nobody's there to really, hear out Keisha's side of it, which is whatever you mad about your dude, be mad at him about. What she's telling you is that she did not feel welcome in your home. And regardless of DNA and anybody else, she said you wasn't treating her right. Um, and then the other thing is Nicole really just don't want to talk about it anymore because what you gonna do? But again, it seems like the main culprit of this situation, which was Frank, ain't seeming to get this smoke that Joy got for everybody except him. But that's typically how it is a lot of times. Everybody get mad at everybody else but the person that caused the situation because they're trying to keep the peace or whatever. But and Nicole don't want to talk about nothing. She just want to move forward. And the thing with Nicole that she's gonna have to understand, so you're gonna have to get through that ugly part in order to mend those relationships. And until Keisha feels hurt, it's gonna continually be a problem when they bring these things up. So hopefully we'll see that things will change between them. And you know, I would love to see that they can get past that, but it's gonna take the people who were adults at the time to get to do it to be right. Now, one thing about Jaquita and Chris is they love to eat, honey. They went to this I guess it's a food truck park. Um, and they got a bunch of food, went to each it looked like they went to each of them trucks at the food truck place and got them a whole lot of stuff. And I know they was probably trying to share with the other ladies, but I got a feeling that if they said they didn't want any, they was gonna eat all that day because they don't seem like people who like to miss meals. But Keisha and Caramel meets up with them at the food truck park. I don't really know what to call it, so that's why I'm just gonna call it food truck park. And yeah. And what they were doing was they just kind of sat back and they got to know something. One thing Jaquita says she really didn't get a chance to really get to know Caramel because of everything, and she wants to, really give an opportunity to get to know her. Caramel's like, hey, I'm an open book. You know what you need to know about me. We found out that she's originally from San Diego. She moved to Texas around 12 years ago, and that's where she started her career in real estate. She said it was a good move for her because, this kind of helped her to elevate herself and her lifestyle and everything. Jaquita wants to know everything, though. Jaquita want to know everything. She wants to know. We ain't even gonna talk about it. We because Caramel and Keisha obviously in a relationship together. So they are two women. Jaquita wants to know, do they miss having access to um, a phallic member? And they said, well, nobody said it didn't want it anymore. It just went from real to plastic. And one thing about Jaquita, honey, if she get a sip of something in her system, she finna ask the wrong stuff. Anyway, moving along in this situation. So they sit down and they talk about everything. They look like they're really having a good time. And then they got a little bit serious because Jaquita wanted to know, why did Joy pull Keisha to the side. So Keisha gave her a brief synopsis of what happened, including telling her about, how Joy was upset because she felt like people need to stay out her business and deal with they outside kids and they family. And so Jaquita was like, so what she mean by that? She wants to know. Is she talking about my mama? Is she talking about Jackie Montgomery? Because that's who went to handle all this stuff. Because um Jaquita wanted to say that, first of all, the outside kids uh that's around in their family have been brought in, because once her mom found out about this other child that her dad had, and they don't go into detail like how that came about, but she said once she found out about him, she brought him in and made sure that he was included. So they talked a little bit about these things that, you know, whenever they took family pics, Keisha was excluded from them taking pics because it was often said, I just want my family in the photo, which is absolutely wrong. Jaquita said she didn't like how she was excluded from those pics. And, Chris has a child. She said Chris had a child, before they met, and there's no way she'll be excluded from pics. And I really don't understand the mindset of people like that. Whether or not you want to acknowledge, um, how this family came about, don't deny these children. I know people who do not they have a problem with the quote outside child or the other child's stepchildren or whatever. And I think it's just absolutely wrong to be that way, because those kids didn't ask to be there. Whatever situation is going on between the parents need to handle it. The problem is, um when people center themselves and not the children, then you're gonna oftentimes have that type of environment. I know some people personally, I ain't gonna say personally, I know of some people who just simply don't acknowledge like grandchildren because they are quote illegitimate. And I'm like, what, how old are we? We are grown. And you talking about people won't acknowledge them because the parents wasn't married and stuff like that, or just some silly stuff. Who cares? But when you treat them kids like that, when they be don't be surprised when they become adults, they don't really have time for you now, want food with you like that. Anyway, Jaquita said her family just does, they just don't discriminate like that. Um, and if it wasn't for that person, Jackie Montgomery, meddling their business, they wouldn't even know Keisha at all. And that is just crazy, because the problem I see with this family is they're always talking about being respectful of elders and all this stuff. And sometimes you gotta put them elders in their place, because somebody need to check them. And those types of behaviors need to be checked, or you'll end up with other issues, much later, that you're still dealing. And as we see, you talking about these ladies are 40 some years old and they still dealing with them issues because nobody really addressed it when it needed to be addressed. Whew, moving on to the next scene, y'all, because I'm gonna try to get this done. Nicole goes to see Monet at the salon, and so she's telling her, girl, flat iron me, I need a little, the water, the wind, whatever hit my hair, whatever. So she and Monet are talking. Monet was flat ironing her hair. She talks about how Monet is talking about how she got shut down when talking about the salon. She was like, it's not like I want it, I just don't want it forgotten about. And Nicole is like, well, Granny already has a plan for that, and I think that's dismissive though. And say what you want, you do whatever you want with your land and your businesses and stuff, but when someone is asking, especially because she works there, I think you do have to consider that maybe she's interested in being an owner if she's been working there that long. Of course, we all know that she want everything to go to her own kids for Oscarene. But what if your kids are not interested in no hair salon? So you just hand it over to them. You know, Monet was like, well, I'm the only one that does hair. And I think that was interesting too, because I would think you'd want you to make sure that you put these businesses in the hands of people who are interested and excited and driven to want to continue businesses from, so that nothing really happens that you wouldn't want happening, like they close the business and sell the building or something like that. But also these folks be fighting like their woman already dead and not sitting in front of them. But I get where they're all coming from, right? Because you want to make sure that everything is, all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted and everything. But I would encourage, um, granted, to maybe leave the salon to Monet because she the one that does hair. She can have a little security. Leave the reception hall to the kids that, you know, really want to handle those things. She's only thinking about her kids. I get it, but the trickle down effect just doesn't work. If you have people who, some of them, I ain't gonna say who, but some of them seem a little selfish when it comes to, this quote inheritance things. I don't think they'll be um as generous with whatever they inherit. So I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to think about those things. Um and Jermesha keeps saying they're waiting on a payday, but it really does seem that way, that they're waiting on a payday. Talking about the G1s, and it just seems like that's the I don't know. But they talk about the conversation with Nicole and Nicole and Monet. Let me make sure I'm saying that Nicole and Monet are having just a slight conversation about their mom talking with Keisha, how it makes them nervous. And they're just talking about that's just something they just got to figure out how to make work out. And I feel like Monet is more open to Keisha, feeling like she deserves more answers, but Nicole is just like, what happened, we need to move on. But you got to validate everyone's feelings and that, not just your mom, because Keisha doesn't deserve the treatment that she's been given. And it's very obvious that there's some mistreatment that has happened. So anyway, at Jermeshia's house, Jackie, Cheryl, and Charlotte meet up there to prep for the monthly family dinner. And as they're getting through all the shrimps together, Jermeshia shares with them about the conversation that Joy had with Keisha. And she lets them know that Jaquita called her to give her the tea. And of course, she was there for all of that. So the aunts did say, they really were concerned that the conversation that's being had is um basically they were being meddlesome in someone's marriage. Now they said it now did she say we need to stay out her business or one person, because they need to get clarity on that? And Jermesha said the one that was married. And so they said the only one that was married at the time was Jackie. And so Charlotte says she don't understand why Joy would even bring that up, because that kind of conversation could negatively affect the relationship between Nicole and Jermesha. When you start opening up stuff like that, of course, people gonna take the side of their parents, and be like, why you calling her mess? Basically, she's saying Jackie was messy. And then they also don't understand what the situation was, because they felt like nobody was being malicious. And since Jackie had the kids, Keisha stayed with them. And the thing about it, family dynamics just can be weird. Anyway. And again, I'm just not big on making kids feel bad because the adults won't act like adults in the room. And the problem is we can tell that there's a lot of ball dropping that happened on behalf of Frank and Joy when it came to Keisha. No matter what, if you decided you were gonna that was your man, you're gonna stick beside him, he got another child and you need to be okay with that. And figure out, because you shouldn't want to be around somebody that don't want to be around a child they helped create. Anyway, Charlotte says this is all on Frank because he's the one that had two girlfriends at the time. Child, not a wife and a girlfriend. They wanted to be clear on that he had two girlfriends at the time, and they would know because they the sisters. And so that kind of validates what Keisha says, which was she said, she's not outside, baby. He just decided to have sex with two women at the same time. It sound like two girlfriends at the same time to me. And they said she's allowed to feel her feelings, but the person she need to have that smoke for is Frank. Jermesha asked what the big deal about bringing Keisha around was, and they said, their thing was, we don't know, but that's our niece. And, if the tables were turned and he had decided he was going to, be with Keisha's mom or whatever, we would have done the same thing for Nicole. So they didn't want her growing up not knowing that she had a whole family out there and they didn't do anything about it. And I think that that's one of those things you just kind of have to figure out. It's already messy. So they were doing their part as far as making sure that she knew that she had another family over here that cares about her and loves her. But then Joy is upset because Joy upset. So, and the thing about it is you can tell that the ladies are really kind of hurt and upset because the only thing they want to do is make sure that Keisha was okay. And it really got to them. They were very upset about this. And, it feels like things are not being mended, and it's gonna come together. I feel like it will. People just have to put themselves aside and look for, or feel like they know that this is the greater good coming. We don't know. Um, it's a lot that's messy, and there's a lot of things that they don't want to talk about, but it's gonna have to be addressed if they are going to move forward, honey. That's just what it's gonna be. Now, in the next scene, Oscarene is behind the wheel and no man Pam. Ain't no way I'm gonna be riding with somebody where I gotta keep pointing stuff out, yelling stop, talking about don't go around this car and all this type of stuff. You can respect your elders and respectfully take them keys from them. Cause let me tell you, quick little story. One time I had gotten a new car, maybe about 10 years ago. It might have been longer than that. I don't know. I had gotten this car. And when I was like really going to church a lot, I used to, pack the kids up and we might have, you know how you sit in the parking lot, you waiting on everybody to come out to the car, whatever. Well, my mom had said, well, I'll go out to the car with the kids and you can go do whatever it is you got to do. And I'll just sit in the car. Well, wasn't too keen on letting my mama hold on to the keys because she don't have good judgment. She didn't have good judgment driving when she was younger. So this wasn't gonna work. So she had decided to move my car. Not only that, but when I came outside, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna drive." And I'm like, "I don't really want you to." So I sat in the car or whatever with her, and she decided she wanted to take a little drive around. And the way my heart came up through my throat, I knew that that was not going to happen again. So from that point, she just, if she want to go sit in the car, that's all good, but she not holding on to them keys because she will not be driving my vehicles and I won't be a passenger. And so now she don't drive, but you know, that was about the beginning of the end for me. And we had to have a conversation. And now that's not cute. You're not gonna drive my car. You're gonna hit somebody. You don't pay attention. It's time to be done. So this lady here, Oscarene, they sound like they want to keep her independence and everything. She need a driver. She can still be independent. And she got this little rogue right here, and she can't. Mm-mm. It ain't right. Anyway, so they finally get to look at her. Look at Nikki. Look like she praying. They get to the reception hall, barely unscathed. And they just kind of giving it the once over because she says she got about 3 repasts she got to be ready for. Okay, then. And so then they talk about what happened at the roundup. Nikki felt like Monet was trying to pressure her about the salon, and they talked about how the conversation devolved into an argument. I don't think that's what happened. I just think that the G1s are very, very what am I trying to say? They are protective. That's the word. They're too protective over this all this stuff. And I don't know. I don't like the way it's been going on. Anyway, so they talked about all the stuff, and now Granny said she didn't really like the way everybody was acting. She said she ain't never seen nothing like that. The way everybody arguing and fighting and stuff. I just think everybody want to be heard. I don't think it was really that much of a fight. But anyway, they're supposed to see this presentation on this land. But before she make a final decision, but she told her, I'm gonna be honest with you, I just really don't want nobody involved. I'm just gonna get this property ready to sell. And so I know that Jermeshia is gonna feel upset about that. But it is what it is. Maybe just get your own land and develop your own property or whatever. But you know, it's time though for them to have a couple of tough conversations with Oscarine. She's used to being in charge and used to being in control, but some things she just gonna have to start turning over to them because, um, see who's a better fit for the properties and really figure out how all this stuff gonna work. But it's just too much back and forth at this point. All right, so in the next scene, over at Braden, you got Jermeshia talking and Jaquita talking to the Sheltons. They're gonna move forward with, looking at the plans for the development, even though Nikki called her with the news that Oscarine just wants to move forward with the sale of the property. But you still gotta kind of just do your due diligence, right? So they looked at some of the little site plans here. That's kind of what they're thinking about. 28 single family lots is what they can split that into. Some preliminary floor plans there look like I think they said it's going to be about 1,800 square foot homes that they're trying to get there on this parcel of land, and then it was down to the numbers. So the thing that they were talking about was, we got to make it make sense so they can, present it to Granny. I just wanted to put that up there real quick. Heritage Oaks of Braden Family Community. I thought that was really cute. That was a nice little touch for them. So anyway, when it's all said and done, they would clear about 30K per home, and that comes out to be $840,000, which is actually under what the land is appraised for and what they can sell it for. So, now their thing is to go back to the drawing board to the rental side, because that way they can have long-term income, but you just have to make the initial investment. And that may not be something that Oscarine and the G1s want to do, considering they want their money now. They want their hundred and some $1,000s a piece now. The hybrid model wouldn't be doable either, because the whole having to explain to homeowners why there are rental homes in this community is not going to work. And it also is just not going to pan out financially for them. So they just going to go ahead and develop a build to rent model so that she can present that, because right now the build to sale is not going to work in the music, not the in the way that they think is going to work. So, um, going back to the drawing board, but hopefully they'll have something by then. So back at Jermeshia's house, they're getting ready for the actual crawfish boil. She and hubby are talking about being nervous because meeting with the Sheltons making her realize that she kind of just feels like everything is shut down. But then she just realizes she needs to pivot, and that's exactly what she's going to do. So they'll figure out what to do. Well, now everybody done started showing up and coming to the little crawfish boil. Everybody's there just kind of getting ready to get they eat on, child. Them people just look like they love fellowshipping and eating. Now, I ain't never had any crawfish or anything, so I don't get why it's so exciting. It don't look appealing to me, but that's my opinion. If y'all like it, please have my portion, because I won't be eating that. But, everybody coming in, and they say, well, since we got all the aunts here, this is a good time to pretty much clear the air regarding this, because there's these ladies are 40 something years old, and there's an elephant still in the room. So they all sit down and they're eating the crawfish. Jermeshia kind of starts the conversation about what happened at the rodeo. Well, between Joy and Keshia, that's what they're trying to figure out. So Joy, Keshia, was saying what had happened, which was Joy said, people need to stay out of her household and worry about their own. Joy said, yep, that's exactly what I said. Um, and I mean, it was a double down city. And she wanted to know. And then what happened, Jackie wanted to know, was a statement about her, because she wanted to know if she felt like she was being disrespectful, because it wasn't about her being disrespectful. She was concerned about Keshia. And since Keshia wasn't allowed to go to her daddy's house, she brought her to her own house. And Nicole wanted to know, why couldn't she come over there? Joyce said Bubba should have been the one to initiate, when Bubba was like, the daddy husband. daddy, all that stuff. Anyway, and, but at the time she was 7. So it doesn't seem like he was going to initiate bringing her around. So the next question Keshia had was, what if he was never going to make the notion to do that? Would that be okay with her? And Monet was like, well, I just think she wanted her husband to do. And Joy said, well, we don't know what he was gonna do. Well, you kind of do, because he didn't make the effort in 7 years to bring her around. And I think that if Jackie seems to know her brother pretty well, they know that if she hadn't intervened, then Keshia probably wouldn't be around. They probably wouldn't know anything about her. So at this point, Keshia is not getting any answers. And she feels like she's not going to get any answers. So this is where the episode ends. So it's a big beat to be continued. Now, this is a good show to kind of, as far as this is concerned, it's a good lesson for people who have blended families. It's very important to not make differences in children, because it's not their fault that the adults in the situation are being messy. And at the end of the day, if they're not going to hold Frank accountable, then there ain't no point of being mad at the girls for wanting to, build their relationship and, get past all that. So hopefully we'll see some type of resolution in the next episode, but I ain't gonna hold my breath. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and I'd be honored if you would support my channel by liking, subscribing, sharing this review, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new reviews when I post them. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.